So I think to start this off, I should probably introduce myself. My name is Glenn Hodges, and since June 17th, 2002, I have been the manager of Mountain View Cemetery. It's important that we recognize that the cemetery has been here for a long time. So I think the first thing that we should do to recognize that and pay tribute to that, I'd like to ask Cease Weiss, a member of the Squamish First Nation, to come forward and open with a traditional song and prayer.
The song is from Chief Dan George, who some people might recognize his name. He's a very important Aboriginal person who brought a new era to media for Aboriginal people.
So this is a very unique space in Vancouver, and many of us who've grown up here see this as sort of in the heart of the community and have memories here, but many newcomers to Vancouver maybe aren't as aware of the treasure and the sacred space that is here in the middle of our city, and almost as close to the sky and the heavens as any land gets in this city. The site is a resting place for some of Canada's, certainly BC's, and definitely Vancouver's most distinguished citizens, including Sarah Ann McLagan, the first female newspaper publisher in Canada, William Carey Ditmars, a Vancouver businessman who brought the first car to Vancouver, Louis Gold, the first Jewish citizen in Vancouver, Eric Hamber, with whom high school nearby is named, the BC's lieutenant governor from 36 to 41, Roberta Josephine Marshall, who was a Titanic survivor. So we are tremendously proud and enthused about the work that has been done here at Mountain View. It is a magnificent place to honor our families and loved ones, and a setting that I think inspires us to think beyond our living and breathing days, to show respect for those who have passed on, and to celebrate their lives.
In the type of history that I like and do, which is neighborhood history, and trying to figure out how the city came to be and who built it, a wander through this cemetery throws out all sorts of fascinating people. I was walking through the cemetery one day and I came across a headstone that was laid flat in the ground, and it was a simple headstone raised in honor of a friend by his colleagues here in Vancouver, of a man that had actually been working for the Hong Kong-Shanghai Banking Corporation in Shanghai, and he died here in Vancouver on his way home to London. And so I was intrigued by this, and so I researched this poor fellow. Turned out he died of tuberculosis in Vancouver on his way home. He was actually quite ill. His friends raised a monument for him, and so he's buried here in Vancouver. Now that tells us a great story about just how Vancouver in fact grew as a city, because in fact it was faster to go from China to Vancouver, to Montreal, to London, than to take the boat and go all the way around up to London. So Vancouver actually, long before it should have been, was a very important city.
When I was first asked to write a poem about a cemetery, my first reaction was I don't even know if I could. I didn't know where to try. And looking at it, I found out that my great-grandfather was buried here, which, when he got back from World War I, he bought a piano, which is the piano in my living room. There's sort of a connection with the old and the new. At Lacey Madden's grave, I'm thinking about the Battle of Vimy Ridge and Hannah, Montana, the pop starlet my daughter dreams of and hues of burnt sugar and sass. I don't know for sure if Lacey fought at Vimy, but I do know his regiment did, and that he had left England and arrived in Saskatoon only a few months before going to war for this country that had just taken him in. Lacey took a bullet on the battlefield, and a surgeon shortened his arm and drew a picture of what he had done, so to explain things to the doctor back home. Lacey came back from the war and moved west, where he bought a piano on Granville Street from a store that closed and became a mortuary. So here it is, music and death, and my daughter in my living room pecking out Hannah Montana on Lacey Madden's piano.
123 years ago, the founders of Vancouver had to choose a place to establish their cemetery. I don't imagine it was one of the most exciting decisions being made by these early settlers. However, I am confident that the decision was not made lightly or without great consideration for the importance that place would hold for the citizens of the new city of Vancouver. In 1986, the cemetery once again was running out of space, and there was now little opportunity or interest in this now full cemetery, or so we thought. 10 years later, a group wanting to purchase the cemetery approached the city. The citizens of Vancouver, including local historians, genealogists, funeral directors, religious leaders, and others, made their voices heard and stood up for this 100-year-old site. What has been created in Vancouver's Mountain View Cemetery is a strong statement about the importance that commemoration, remembrance, and providing a sacred space for the placement and care of our deceased plays in our community. William Gladstone summed it up this way: "Show me the manner in which a nation cares for its dead, and I will measure with mathematical exactness the tender mercies of its people, their loyalty to high ideals, and their regard for the laws of the land." On behalf of myself and the families we serve, I offer a most sincere thank you. I'll leave you one last sentence I need to try and finish. I think it'll be the hardest. Always remember that you have contributed greatly to a very important part of Vancouver's past, its present, and its future. So I've asked Gerhard Gertzen to bring some doves along. And what we'll do is he'll hand each of the 5 of us an individual dove that we will hold, and then Gerhard will release the main flock of doves. And those doves that he releases will symbolize the part of the cemetery that has stayed at rest, and then the 5 of us will release individual doves, and those doves will represent this disruption that was caused to this immediate area. We're slowly chipping away at it.